We've been expecting the release, Vinay, at 12 o'clock. It is now 7 minutes past 12, which means that obviously it's not happening now. And it's possible that Pakistan might keep us hanging for a few hours?
Yes, they will. In fact,
is there like an optic benefit?
There is no real benefit, but I think there is no real fixed time that was allocated in any case. And
yes.
In the morning when we spoke to some officers in Delhi, they sounded a little irritated about them not sharing any specific, because there are a lot of requests that the Indian side has made to the Pakistanis, including one specific request of accompanying Wing Commander Abhinandan from Rawalpindi GHQ to Lahore, which they are not responding. They haven't said yes, they haven't said no, so they're unsure about whether they can accompany him on that special plane. Including then, of course, the timing. So there is a little bit of a lack of information, but I guess that's just their way of delaying the inevitable pretty much. Also remember, I'm almost certain that Pakistanis also want this to become a bit of a media spectacle for them.
Yes.
So they're also...
And they are bound at least by the day, because Imran Khan didn't say we'll release him, he said we'll release him tomorrow.
Yes.
So it has to be done today.
It has to be done.
And, it's likely to be done in the next few hours. We don't know exactly when as of now. In fact, Ayushman is at Wagah border right now. Let's cut across to Ayushman. Obviously, Ayushman, there's been preparations all morning. You got in fairly early. I can see a lot of police bandobast behind you. What are you picking up? What time is this exchange likely to happen? And what sort of arrangements have been made at that border?
Well, Faye, when we came here early in the morning, we were told that at around 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we would expect Wing Commander Abhinandan to come here. But right now, we are getting to know that between 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, we can expect Wing Commander Abhinandan in India. He may cross the Wagah border. At the same time, you can look at the police arrangement, police deployment and the security arrangement that has been done here. The Punjab police officials are deployed in a huge number. At the same time, the BSF officials are here. One side of the road has been cleared because Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh is expected to come here. He had tweeted yesterday that he would like to come to receive Wing Commander Abhinandan. At the same time, the parents of Wing Commander Abhinandan are also here. This road which you are seeing, Faye, right now, any person who wants to go through this, they have to prove their identity to the BSF personnel, and then they are allowed to go. The vehicular movement on one side of the road has been permitted. The other side of the road, the media has been told to be here. You can see there, that is the post from where the Wagah border is exactly 1 kilometer. You can see this Pakistani flag out on the other side, and the Indian flag this side. The BSF officials are on the rooftops. They are monitoring these situations. The media has been told not to cross that point. After a point of time, they have said that in the evening, when the crowd swells, if the number is huge, they will be monitoring the situation. And that is why the number is huge. The police officials are deployed in huge number. There is also a route for the Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh, who was expected to come early in the morning, but since the timing is not yet announced, that is why once it is announced, he will also be coming here. Right now, the security is at its peak. The vehicles are being checked. The media has been told to be on one side. The people who have come in the morning, they are chanting the slogans of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, as well as for Wing Commander Abhinandan, and they are awaiting his arrival with bated breath. If you can see, there has been a rope there, and the Punjab police officials are checking every person who is coming here. They are identifying it, and people are waiting for the arrival of Wing Commander Abhinandan here. Faye.
Thank you, Ashwin. In fact, Alok standing by at South Block as well. Alok, obviously, there will be a fair amount of activity at the Ministry of External Affairs. Can you give us an update of what's taking place right now, what you've picked up this morning in South Block?
Well, Faye, nothing has much done in the ministry as of now. But inside the ministry, we can't see from outside. But inside the ministry, that 100% that the meeting must be going on. If we talk about this matter, that ministry is taking complete precaution, and they are not revealing a single word to the media. Also, they are completely maintaining secrecy in this whole matter. They must be in touch with their counterparts in the Pakistan Pakistan. But as of now, no final word has come from the ministry or the MEA that when his arrival will be taken place. But if we go by the procedure that it has already been followed, but exactly not yet known whether it is.
We seem to have lost that connection. Pramod also standing by in Chennai. Our viewers will remember that Wing Commander Abhinandan is from Chennai. His parents are Chennai-based. His family is Chennai-based. So obviously, a lot of friends and family well-wishers in Chennai would be waiting for him to come home. We understand his parents flew out to Delhi last night to meet him when he does come back to Delhi, perhaps after his debriefing. And in a very touching moment, all of the passengers of the flight that they were on noticed that they were on the flight, stood up and applauded for them and allowed them to disembark first. My colleague Pramod standing by in Chennai. Pramod, obviously people in Chennai would now be waiting for India's hero to come home.
Well, it surely is, and the whole of the nation is concerned about his safe return. But he just gave a few he just spoke a few lines in those two videos, and the things he said was about his name, about his rank, and about his service number. But when he said that he is from the deep south, then onwards there is extra concern from the south itself, especially Tamil Nadu, because his roots have been identified to be from Tirunelveli district, and since then people are considering him to be a part of his family. And like you mentioned, today it was a very touchy scene, aircraft itself. If I have to quote a Tamil poet called as Thiruvalluvar, he has there is one particular line from Thirukkural called as Indra Purudai Perduvarkum Tan Maganai Sandon in a Ketatai, which means the second time the parents are overjoyous after giving birth to a child is when the whole nation is proud about him, and that's what we saw in the aircraft itself. The entire passengers got up, they applauded, and they gave a free a clear passage for their parents to leave the aircraft. That is the kind of emotion and sense on the ground here. Abhinandan has definitely won the hearts of the entire nation. But for Tamil Nadu, it is extremely special. He's from Tirunelveli, and that's the reason everyone in the state are praying, stating that he should return back safely.
And people applauding and sort of giving the right of way to Wing Commander Abhinandan's parents on that flight to Delhi last night. Thank you, Pramod, for that update. People in Tamil Nadu praying for the safe return of India's son and Tamil Nadu's son, particularly. In the studio with me, Vinay Tiwari. We also have Air Marshal Sunil Narodkar, Air Vice Marshal Anil Chopra, and Talmiz Ahmed, who's a former diplomat. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. So here's the interesting thing. Vinay, you were telling us just now that India has been a little, the communication has not been as smooth this morning as we would have liked it to be.
Yeah, look, the only irritation from our side is that they haven't given specifics, and ideally there is no need for the Pakistanis to not share specifics. Ultimately, they will have to. You will have to tell the Indian High Commission and the other officers on what time you're handing over, who's bringing him. The International Committee of Red Cross would ideally, according to the Geneva Convention, they should be accompanying him. So on and so forth. So there's a little bit of a slight irritability on why, these are needless irritants. Ultimately, he will have to be returned sometime during the day. But I'm assuming by now they would have, because we spoke at around 9:30, 10 in the morning. I'm hoping and assuming they have now informed the Indian officers.
Because if we went by what Ayushman just told us, we were initially expecting noon. Noon became 2 o'clock. It's now 4. It could be 5 as well. So basically there is, the entire country is looking towards or looking at the Wagah border with a certain level of anticipation.
Yeah, they'll have to do it before, 5:58 or whatever the sundown time is, because sundown is when Wagah border is shut.
Closes, yes.
It shuts down. So they'll have to do it before that. He has to cross that before that. Otherwise, crossing is not possible. So they'll do it. Of course, at some stage. But it's just that people are slightly, unsure about what time and who's going to be allowed and not. The Indian Defence Air Force attaché in the High Commission is there, in fact, in GSQ Rawalpindi. But whether they will hand it over to him or the High Commission officers or somebody else is still not very clear.
Well, let me bring in the rest of my panel at this point. Talmiz Ahmed, tell me this. We know that Pakistan has decided not to attend the OIC. How significant is that in your opinion?
I think this is a very welcome development. It seems to me a shift in the balance of influence. Recall here that 50 years ago, it was at Pakistani insistence that the Indian delegation had been evicted from the conference. at Rabat. And for the last 30 years, Pakistan has used the OIC platform to abuse India. Now there is a real shift. Today, we are the guest of honor at the OIC Foreign Ministers Conference, and it is Pakistan that has withdrawn its presence from that forum. I think this is a welcome development. I think this will indicate a certain change with regard to the attitude of the OIC towards India. It may be a long haul, because for 30 years, the platform has built up a number of documents, a number of institutions which are aimed against India. We have a contact group on Kashmir, and the Secretary General from time to time has been issuing provocative statements on his own. Also, the platform has been issuing resolutions that are not discussed or debated. And on some occasions, they were not even presented formally, but were included among the documents of a particular conference. Also, we know overall that in terms of its political posture, the OIC has very little credibility. I think all of this may now change for the better. India as a guest of honor at the OIC indicates that there is a certain recognition of our stature, of our prestige, and of our achievements. Actually, we bring a lot of value and strength to the OIC. And I would assert to you that the OIC needs India more than India needs the OIC. We bring technological achievement, economic achievement. We are a major market. We are an attractive place for investments. We also bring a lot of political credibility to this forum. And the platform that we are going to project that is concerned with extremism and violence, this resonates very sharply with the entire membership. So I personally believe that we are now onto a good thing. Something new is taking shape. And I think Pakistan will soon become day before yesterday's news as far as OIC is concerned.
Well, we do believe that there's some information being picked up that he's at the border, that formalities have now begun, and it's, the Air Force on our side is preparing to receive him. But I just want to bring up another point. We've had further ceasefire violations this morning, and it's important to understand what that means to the situation as it stands right now. Let me just bring in Air Marshal Sunil Narodkar. The fact that there was, at the end of the day, after the press conference that was addressed yesterday by the three vice chiefs of the forces, Air Marshal Narodkar, the further ceasefire violations this morning and cross-border firing, what does that mean?
See, Faye, these kind of ceasefire violations will carry on for some time at least.
But that's okay.
So, sorry, my question was to Air Marshal Narodkar. Sunil, go ahead.
Anil sir, good morning. This is Nano here. And Faye, actually, these ceasefire violations will carry on, till such time. There are clear-cut instructions to the Pakistan forces that they should stop this. And, the connotations of these are manifold. There could be some action that's planned on the ground while these delicate activities are going on of handing over Abhinandan to Indians, which is one of the very important activities as far as both the countries are concerned. And in the parliament yesterday, Imran Khan has openly announced that this is one of the peace gestures. But we all know as to how the peace exists between these two countries all along. And while these peace gestures and all are being done, there are some other plans that are being put in place for further execution. So we have to be on our guards. We cannot just, get into a euphoric mode because we have shot down one F-16 by a Bison. One of our pilots is coming back home after 3 days of being in the custody of Pakistan forces. So these ceasefire violations will continue, and we have to be on the guard to give befitting replies in those localized places. And also we have to continue guarding our borders very severely, very seriously, and also look at our homeland security even more, so as to avoid any damage to our civilian population as well as military installations.
That's true. We also understand now that Sushma Swaraj will speak at Abu Dhabi at the OIC at 11:30 their time. It should be about 1:30 our time. I think it's about a 2-hour difference. So that's something that would be interesting to tune into as well. Air Vice Marshal Anil Chopra, good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us. If you could just help us understand, and the Air Force, this is not a news. The paperwork is being drawn up at this point. The formalities are being going through. There is going to be a lot of paperwork. He didn't comment on the procedure. He said that would be for the Indian Air Force to decide. We will be ready to receive him whenever he comes.
Yes, and I think 2-3 specifics he gave. He said that an advance team has arrived. He also said senior officers of the Air Force are going to be reaching to receive him. He also said that the gate closing ceremony will go on as scheduled. I think he was asked by a journalist a very specific question on some report that the Pakistanis want to hand him over during this ceremony. And he obviously didn't answer that, and I'm sure he possibly wouldn't even be aware, because this is not something that a civilian administration would know in terms of what the Pakistanis are doing. So, but he was asked that question, and his point was that the ceremony will happen as usual, and even if it happens while the ceremony is on, before that we'll be prepared to receive him in every way.
Absolutely. Going back right now to Air Vice Marshal Anil Chopra, forgive me for interrupting you a little earlier. We wanted to bring that information to our audience. But from the soundbite that you just heard, the Deputy Commissioner of Amritsar speaking on the processes, and he actually said that the process is underway. The formalities are currently, being worked through. So how long do you think it's going to be before he's actually handed over now?
I am of the opinion that this whole exercise, of course, it's all conjectures based on different sources that inputs one gets. Chances are that it will be closer between 2:30 and 3, somewhere around that. It will not be appropriate that this exercise be done when the beating the retreat is being done. Beating the retreat is a military ceremony. The two should remain separate. Either they must hand over before or after. As he has correctly brought out, that senior Air Force officials are already there. The family, the parents have already reached. Of course, it's an emotional moment. A large number of people are going to be there. And he will immediately perhaps be taken to the airbase nearby at Amritsar, from where he may either fly in an Air Force aircraft to Delhi. But certainly some initial medical checkup would have to be done at Amritsar itself. For that, necessary arrangements would have been made. Also, there will be exchange of documents. The Pakistani side, we are hearing, is preparing documents. Those documents would have to be given, and in that documents, Pakistani side would have also carried out some medical and other examinations, and some of the things that were with him in person, which had been shown to us through WhatsApp messages, all those items will have to be listed and returned formally, including the aircraft related documents, and also the revolver and some of the other things that the pilots normally carry in warlike situations. So all those items would have also to be handed over. So it is interesting in the world of television. Earlier in 71 war, we have had exchange of prisoners. Different methods were followed. And we also saw how we handed over the Pakistanis, the 93,000 prisoners who had been taken after 1971 war. So it is, we are all going to watch how exactly this ceremony goes through.
In fact, we're going to have to take a quick break, but we will come back, and I do want to discuss the successful combat, engagement that Wing Commander Abhinandan actually engaged in. We've had some sources from the Air Force tell us that it is a massive achievement, and what he managed to pull off that night is something we should all applaud and be proud of. That's on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Good afternoon, you're with Mirror now. I'm Faye D'Souza. Thank you for joining us and staying with us. We're expecting, and we have visual coming in live, of Wing Commander Abhinandan might be soon handed over at the Wagah border from Pakistan to India. And while we wait for more of that information, we understand from the statement that was made by Shiv Dulal Singh Dhillon, the Deputy Commissioner of Amritsar, who spoke with the press at the border not long ago, saying that the formalities are already underway. The advance team of the Air Force is already present at the border. Senior officials are expected, and this is likely to happen in the next few hours. So while we wait for that, the conversation that we must have after yesterday's or last night's press conference in New Delhi with the three vice chiefs of the forces telling us what played out on the night that that Wing Commander Abhinandan actually wound up on the wrong side of the border. It does seem like a fantastic story. So Vinay, one of the things that were actually said were 24 aircraft on their side came into our airspace. They were chased down by 8 of our aircraft. The other thing that was pointed out for a MiG-21, which is not, for our MiG-21, which is not as superior as either our Sukhoi or our Mirages, to have shot down one of their F-16s is a strong and a massive message. So what Wing Commander Abhinandan achieved is no small feat.
Absolutely. I mean, even though, given the fact that this MiG-21 was actually a Bison which is upgraded, it is still a platform or a mainframe which is older and slightly inferior to the F-16. And I mean, a lot of people are now saying that this couldn't have been a worst advertisement for Lockheed Martin in hawking F-16 for the future, because if an Indian wing commander with a MiG-21 Bison can shoot down an F-16, it's not the best news for an arms manufacturer, because this is the worst thing you can ever do. So, but I also suspect, and I think we have some very senior forces gentlemen with us, and they'll perhaps be in better position to endorse what I'm saying. But I also believe that more than just the machine, I think it is the quality of the personnel who were piloting that machine which also made that difference. I think this also proves to you the superiority of the Indian Air Force pilots. I mean, they're just way too good. And that also plays a huge role in a situation where even if the machine was not up to the mark in compared to the enemy, the skill of the pilot and the skill of the officer commanding that plane was just way too superior. And I have a feeling that may have had a role as well in the F-16 getting down.
Air Marshal Sunil Nanaotkar, obviously when you heard that story of 24 versus 8 on our side, a MiG versus an F-16, that made you very proud. But could you take us through, what that specific achievement or that dogfight would have been like?
Yeah, first of all, Faye, I will just correct you. Anil sir is Air Marshal and I am Air Vice Marshal. Okay. So, that's the first, step that I must take. That's okay, but, I must pay proper respect to my seniors on the screen, definitely, while we are talking. Okay, now this whole, combat that took place, there is a little bit of background to it, because when you're saying that so many Pakistani aircraft were airborne and they were trying to cross the border and get into Indian airspace, so our early warning systems were all geared up for that, and that is how we have picked up the numbers that have been quoted in some place. Actually, there must have been on the other side also much more aircraft airborne to do other jobs that is required to be done. So we'll leave that aside. But what is most important is that when we have detected that this formation of F-16 is heading towards our, military installations, or at that point in time we may not have been very certain whether they are, heading towards any civilian targets. But when they were detected that they were likely to cross border, the aircraft that were airborne from Indian sides, they were heading towards them, and they have definitely, particularly this formation of Abhi and his wingmen, have ensured that these F-16 do not repeat, do not reach the target that was envisaged, that was planned on for their formation to be attacked. And we have seen the results on the ground. The bombs have dropped all over and not on the actual targets. I'm sure they must not have planned to drop those bombs in a canal or a field and just go away. And subsequently, having done that, Abiy has used his skills to get after this F-16 and shoot it down with a R-73 missile, which is a sort of a more of a closer range missile than what he has been shot at. And some other aircraft in the formation which was around has shot a beyond visual range missile, because of which Abiy's aircraft has gone down. So it's a huge success as far as Abhinandan's actions are concerned, both in the air, and whatever has gone behind getting the aircraft airborne, that right on time, is also creditable. So we have to give the credit to the entire team who has done this work. And of course, Abhinandan's work has been par excellence, because it's not very often that we hear that aircraft of the kind of Bison, that is MiG-21 upgraded, last version that we upgraded, has shot down an F-16. And like I was telling yesterday on some other channel, that when F-16 was designed, which is what I read about 38-40 years back, that they had kept performance of the MiG-21 in focus to ensure that they outmaneuver the MiG-21 in all spheres, and that is why it has a significant importance that Abiy was flying MiG-21 and he shot down F-16. And let me at the same time say that the pilot fraternity on either side, they do they try their best to do their job well, but yes, the superior one has to win, and this is what has happened.
Air Marshal Anil Chopra, first of all, my sincere apology for getting your designation and your rank wrong. I hope you will forgive us. But again, the story that we were talking about and the achievement of this young pilot and what he's managed to do, given the fact that he was, of course, in a platform like Vinay and Air Vice Marshal said, it was supposedly inferior to the F-16.
I must tell you, let's relook at this scenario. You know, the radar cover, we have an aerostat somewhere in the middle of Punjab. We have got a high altitude radar position on one of the mountain tops, and we had the AWACS. So that means effectively Indian Air Force can look deep into the other territory, good up to 400 kilometers. In fact, any aircraft getting airborne from most of their bases can be seen by Indian Air Force well in advance. So first thing is that we have adequate warning. Also, because of these radars, the actual strength, the positioning and physical locations of each and every formation that is flying and trying to come towards us is monitored. The second thing is that there are three types of formations which were in the air at that time: MiG-21 Bisons, the Mirage 2000 aircraft. These are the upgraded ones, as we were told by during the press conference yesterday, and also the Su-30. So we had a sizable response, but not as large as the planned strike that was coming from there. The fact that the strike could intrude only 6 to 8 kilometers, and they had finally dropped some weapons close to some battalion and brigade headquarters itself indicates that the response from the Indian side has been phenomenal. I must also mention that I was the team leader of the MiG-21 Bison aircraft project in Russia for 4 years. So I know every nut and bolt of this aircraft. The upgrade had made it very, very significant. Two special things are that the airborne radar in Bison is fairly good. And the second is it has got nearly world-class missile, the R-73, which reportedly perhaps was fired in this case. I'm not very sure, but there is also a BVR missile called the R-77 RVVE. So it is a potent platform from point of view of radar and weapons. For a MiG-21 Bison to have shot an F-16 is a very, very significant news. It's being already talked about in social media around the world, including on Twitter. We see some of the foreign analysts talking about it. Of course, they are looking for more details to unfold. Extremely brave actions by our pilot, and the grit and confidence with which, surely in that combat, somebody has perhaps hit him. But there are also some reports that he might have been hit by ground fire. But I'm extremely proud of him, of the actions that he took after landing, how he handled the initial villagers who came in contact with him, how he tried to destroy the evidence that he's supposed to destroy. He made attempts to. I think extremely proud, and I was very proud when we saw the video in which the way he responded to the Pakistani military personnel who were trying to question him about who he was. Strictly by Geneva Convention, and his father had subsequently put on social media that he was very proud to see that
yes,
he had stood firm, he had stood like a good air warrior.
Yes, and I'm sure India shares that emotion as well. Quick question to Mr. Talmiz Ahmed. Mr. Talmiz Ahmed, we understand that Sushma Swaraj will speak at the OIC in about, maybe in about an hour or so. What do you think she's likely to bring up in that speech? Obviously, it's a very important timing at this, the timing of that speech is of paramount importance. The audience is, or the people in the room, the dignitaries in the room are important as well. What is she likely to bring up in this speech?
Yes. I think she will cover some of the following points. She will certainly highlight India's historic and civilizational engagement with the Islamic world, India's contributions to Islamic civilization and to various doctrinal aspects, India's very eclectic, accommodative and moderate version of Islam, and the fact that the popular faith of our people is moderate and Sufic. Also, India has consistently rejected extremism. Nobody from India has participated in transnational jihad, and just a few of them joined. Only about 15 or 20 went to Syria in a community of nearly 200 million people. This is in sharp contrast to several other communities in the Muslim world. Beyond Islam, India will also talk about its rejection of extremism. This is something that will resonate extremely well with the community in front of her. All of them are potentially or really have been adversely affected by extremism. They fear extremism. They fear the allure of extremism for their youth. And I think India has suffered the most in this regard. And this is a message she will convey, that this is a battle against jihad, which is a global battle. It is not India's battle alone. Every state in front of her, represented by its foreign minister, is vulnerable to these assaults. Therefore, she will call for the Islamic community to rally with India against extremism. She will also point out that the hotbed, the fountainhead, the source of extremism today is state-sponsored extremism from Pakistan. I think it is well known across the membership of the Islamic world, but they haven't done much about it, nor have the other Western powers done anything about it. I think she will now be able to focus new attention on this scourge. For the rest, I think she will give some very positive messages. She will hand out she will make a gesture of cooperation. She will talk about how we need to work together as partners with regard to our economic development, so that our young people are given a sense of hope and are able to look at the future with confidence. She will talk about technology, trade, investment, and logistical connectivity as factors that will bring us all together. I think she will finally talk about regional security. Regional security is something that is not being talked about, not being discussed. But the regional scenario in West Asia is deteriorating by the day, and all countries, the countries of the region and the countries beyond the region have every reason to be extremely concerned. We also need to be concerned about the fact that there is no peace process whatsoever, though these confrontations and conflicts have continued for 7 to 8 years. And at least 500,000 people have been killed and all the major cities destroyed in both Syria and Yemen. So I think this is going to be another factor that she will put forward, that India can partner other major countries of the region to see how we can promote stability and prosperity. Finally, she is likely to mention that we are at the cusp of a major change in world affairs.
Yes.
There is a shift in global power and there is a shift in favor of the East, and this is the challenge that we Eastern nations now have to pick up. We have to become the shapers of a new world order.
Well, very well said. And before I come back to Vinay to talk about that visual of Sushma Swaraj shaking hands with leaders in the Middle East, and that's a really important message to send out, I just want to cut across very quickly to Chennai, where Pramod is standing by at one of the temples, and there is a lot of support building up, obviously, as one would expect. Prayers that have been going on all morning. We know that in the south people pray very early in the morning, and prayers have now turned into simple cheering and hope that Wing Commander Abhinandan will be brought home to Chennai, which is currently his home base, safely and soon. Pramod, so obviously people standing behind you, I can see, with posters.
Well, it surely is. It has become a very important a case for Tamil Nadu itself. In fact, we are in a kind of temple called as a Kalikangambal in Paris, and it's a very, very busy temple. And inside the temple, home guards themselves have come together, and they have they are conducting special prayers, all for the safe return of Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman. So like this particular prayer and your such, and the major question that's being put forward is that why is Abhinandan very important to Tamil Nadu, though he's very important to the state of, country of India?
No doubt, Abhinandan is an Indian, but he's the son of the soil of Tamil Nadu. And we people of Tamil Nadu are very proud that he has contributed his own bit in shooting down a plane, and so bravely. The way he behaved in Pakistani soil is a perfect example for all the uniformed forces.
And this particular way, when you came to know that he is from the deep south, he didn't even say Tamil Nadu, but he said deep south. And since then, a special connection, a kind of bond has from the state with Abhinandan has increased. And we are expecting his return anytime soon. What kind of special pujas or anything did you do here today?
This is Kalikambal temple, one of the most famous and powerful temples in Chennai. So we thought it fit that we should conduct special prayers so that all our feelings and blessings can go to him through the Lord Almighty. And no better way than to do a special puja here for him.
Well, that's the kind of emotion, a speck of emotion from the state of Tamil Nadu, where they want to they are waiting, they are eager, they are praying. They claim that Abhinandan should return back safe and secure, and that's the only wish from the state of Tamil Nadu, I would say, at least for the day.
All right, thank you, Pramod, for bringing us that story. And I just want to, ask a quick question of my guest before we go into break, with the permission of my director. There was a story written in a newspaper called The Dawn in Pakistan. Yeah. It recounted everything that happened to Wing Commander Abhinandan after he parachuted out of his aircraft and landed in Pakistani soil. It says that he behaved, he had his wits about him. First of all, he asked the locals around him where he was. Was he in India or Pakistan? And some of them actually told him or lied to him and said that he was in India. Then the lynching began, and he used his revolver, fired in the air to run. Apparently, he was being chased. He had to hide in a pond. He had the presence of mind to swallow his sensitive documents and make sure that he's not captured with them. And it's only after he tried for a fair amount of time that he realized he wasn't going to, manage to get away or hide, that he then surrendered. But this man is a hero.
Yes, in fact, there are a couple of other details which tells you if for a officer to have fallen from the skies thousands of feet high in an injured state within seconds. One specific detail, when these people, when he said, where am I? Am I in India? Which part is, what is the village called? They obviously lied to him. And once they lied, he wasn't sure whether they're telling him the truth or not. So he actually raised pro-India slogans, and the facial expressions that changed in the people there was a giveaway. So he look at his presence of mind, that he had the presence of mind to actually say something which he knew that if he's in Pakistan, you can figure it out from body language that I'm in enemy territory.
Yes.
And and that's exactly the point when he figured that he's in enemy territory, and he took out his revolver to do a warning shot. He swallowed some documents. He actually threw some of the other documents in a pond from where he was actually captured. There are some videos floating around of his capture where the locals had come and started hitting him. He also told them that he had hurt his back and that he had probably broken it and he wants some water. Now imagine in that injured state, for an officer to display that level of wit is remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, this is one of the most glorious stories that one would ever hear in a situation like this. And the fact that it has been documented by a Pakistani website, having spoken to somebody whose house was under a kilometer away, lends the authenticity to it. So it's obviously something which people saw.
Yes.
And puts him in a league which is quite remarkable.
Yes, and just to explain to our audience, the idea behind him having run into that stream or that pond was to get his documents wet so they could not be readable anymore. I just want to comment on that from Air Marshal Anil Chopra. Air Marshal Chopra, obviously this sort of presence of mind, you know, it is something that really stands apart at this point.
I think, you know, I can safely say that his actions have made him a role model for young pilots of Indian Air Force, for them to see what one needs to do. It's by the book. He's shown valor. You know, we are all, as pilots, trained for jungle and snow survival, and we have a survival kit. We normally carry a revolver. No, I myself have ejected from fighter aircraft. I must tell you, the forces that act on your body when you eject are phenomenal. For some time, once you land on the ground, you remain a little dazed and your body is greatly shaken up because you have gone through a very high number of G-forces. So under those circumstances, for a person to have maintained such high composure and having acted so correctly, and with such a majority, lucky also is that the military people are moved in quite early. And once the military takes charge, then the local crowd, which sometimes behave with emotions and could have injured him even more, would have perhaps sort of reduced. But undoubtedly an outstanding example, and this will be a story repeated again and again in times to come.
Well, we're going to have to take a very quick break, but we'll come back as we stay live with the release of Wing Commander Abhinandan. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere.